and our Caribbean family across Africa, Latin America, Europe, and the diaspora gathered here tonight at the Cumberland Hotel in London. Thank you for being here. It is indeed a profound honor to accept the Caribbean Global People's Choice Leader Award 2025. I do regret not being with you in person. However, my duties at the United Nations General Assembly have called me to New York, where I carry the voice of Trinidad and Tobago and of our small island nations, speaking for resilience, fairness, and the dignity and future of our people, especially our children. Yet even as I stand on that world stage, my heart is here with you, because this award belongs not to me alone, but to all of us who believe that unity is our greatest strength. This honor is especially meaningful because it comes from the people. To all who voted in Trinidad and Tobago, across the Caribbean and beyond, your confidence humbles and inspires me. I thank the organizers and adjudication panel for showcasing Caribbean excellence and the strength of our small developing regions on the global stage. Your guiding motto, unity is strength, mirrors my own journey. I was born in colonial Trinidad into a poor family in the rural village of Siparia. My late mother, Rita, sold roti to support our family, whilst my father, Lil Raj, worked as a bookkeeper. From those humble beginnings to becoming the first woman Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, I learned that leadership is not a privilege, but a duty to serve. Throughout 4 decades of public service, I have sought to turn compassion and equality into action. As Prime Minister from 2010 to 2015,
Hey guys, good night and welcome to Carib 21 Network. So tonight we're talking about all things Trinidad and Tobago. So the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamala Bessessa, she had a very interesting week this week, very busy. So I just wanted to go live tonight to talk about everything that transpired from what took place in Washington, D.C., with now we see the Dragon deal back on, to, as you see on the screen now, her winning the Global Caribbean Global People's Choice Award, and also the United Nations General Assembly. So it was a very, very busy week for the Prime Minister, and I just wanted to go live to give people an opportunity to call in and to have a conversation on what, took place this week with the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Very, as I said, very, very busy week. I think I've done at least 5 different stories on the Prime Minister week. So she's a very busy woman. And I know people have different thoughts on how successful the week was, depending on who you're talking to about, the Dragon deal, and saying that the Caribbean is not a zone of peace. So this is what I want to facilitate today. So the conversation. So I just wanted to start off on, I would say, a positive note. Her winning the Caribbean Global People's Choice Award, because despite what you think about her policies, despite you think about what she's doing so far, I think it's undeniable that she's a very hardworking woman, and I don't think I've ever seen a leader having people talking about Trinidad and Tobago as much as the Prime Minister is doing now. She is a busy woman, and a lot of people, like Trinidadian news is not just circulating in Trinidad in 2025. It's right over the Caribbean. We're talking about it in Canada, in America. So I just wanted to come on tonight, and if anyone wants to call in, the WhatsApp number is on the screen. And as I said, just want to start off by some good news with the Prime Minister winning the Caribbean People's Choice Award.
Government created the Shores Life Fund. We advanced universal secondary education. We reformed the SEA, and we provided laptops for every student. And we also expanded higher learning. Now, in my renewed term, We continue that mission, revitalizing the economy, modernizing energy, and advancing digital transformation, and ensuring governance that is transparent, inclusive, and centered on people's lives. Tonight's celebration is more than an award. It is a reminder that recognition must serve a purpose. Even when progress feels like 2 steps forward and 1 back, we must keep faith, choosing evidence over noise, dignity over cynicism, inclusion over indifference, and truth over silence. If I may leave one request tonight, it is this: lift up one vulnerable child. Show them that they can lead. Open the doors of your classrooms, your workplaces, your creative spaces, and let them see what is possible. Share with them the struggles of past generations so they know resilience is our inheritance. Our ancestors forged democracies from broken colonial fragments, from stolen lives, from stolen dignity, and from stolen heritage. And yet still, they endured so that we could rise. In lifting the most vulnerable, we transform talent into leadership, hope into history, and ensure the promise of our countries and the survival of our generations to come. I accept this award on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, our workers, our creators, and above all, our youth, whose imagination will carry the Caribbean boldly into the future. To my fellow honorees, congratulations to all of you. Your achievements prove that when courage meets collaboration, together we shine brighter. May you all enjoy this extraordinary evening, and may we, in faith and unity, keep building societies where hope lives, progress endures, and our people shine brighter with every generation. I thank you, and may God continue to bless each and every one of you.
Okay, so yes, so as I said, tonight I want to talk about the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamala Persad-Processor, and the eventful week that she had this week. And from, as I said, winning the Caribbean Global People's Choice Award to the Dragon deal back on the table and everything that took place in Washington, D.C. this week. And I just wanted to come on to, if there's anyone that wanted to call in to share their views on what is going on in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of the Prime Minister, the week that she's had so far, the week that she had, and what if you would consider it a success with the Dragon deal being back on the table and the argument about the zone of peace. So that is what I really want to talk about today, because it is very interesting. I did a lot of videos this week covering especially the Dragon gas deal. And there are people, the following in Trinidad and Tobago, it's a good following. And there are people that we interact back and forth for the past couple of months, just talking about politics in Trinidad and Tobago and just everyday life in Trinidad and Tobago. So it's very interesting to see that there are people that I've interacted with that we've been talking about the Dragon deal from it was in the hands of the PNM government. And when the Marco Rubio, when the Trump administration pulled the OFAC licensing from the previous administration, there are people that was saying that, look, the American government did that because Maduro is a dictator and they don't want to do any business with dictator. So it was so surprising to see the same people that said that a few months ago. I see some of those same people are having conversation now, and some of those same people are celebrating the same Dragon gas deal that was apparently agreed upon to return the OFAC license. So I just find it very fascinating that it's the same deal, but under one administration, there's a lot of question. And then some of the same people, they're not really saying much about the drug and gas deal going through with this administration. So I just find that very interesting. So as I said, I just want to take a look at some of the events this week. And if anyone wants to call in and talk about it, the phone line will be open and we can have an open and honest conversation about the drug and gas deal, about the Caribbean being a zone of peace or not being a zone of peace, and the Prime Minister winning the Caribbean Global People's Choice Award.
It would be foolish not to answer it. And in fact, we should have started as such long ago. We should not have put everything into the drug and gas. That is dead. It is dead. We kept it alive for 10 years. And we couldn't do that in 10 years. Let's look right in the camera. As I mentioned, we did a plan of this. Thank you. We just had a meeting with Secretary of State, Mr. Rubio. We had some very important discussions for bilateral interests, and more we'll disclose later. We have some good news, so we'll share with you later. We head back now to New York City, and we look forward to returning home tomorrow. Thank you all very much.
I'd like to start by saying
Hello.
that any positive development for Trinidad
And Tobago,
Hello.
first time call on your program.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Right. I see you like the Bacchanal in Trinidad and Tobago. You don't talk anything about St. Vincent, you know.
Well,
I would like to learn what's going on in St. Vincent on a daily basis.
St. Vincent election is coming up soon, so you're going to hear a lot about St. Vincent. Don't worry. As soon as...
So they ain't having crime over there?
No, I don't do crime. I don't talk...
No crime, no gun violence and all of that?
No, I don't talk about crime on this channel. That's not my thing. I don't talk about crime in Trinidad. I don't talk about crime in Jamaica, in St. Vincent. We talk about policies and issues. It's not a news channel. We have conversations and debate and cultural stuff. We don't really cover.
Okay.
Yeah, we
What
don't.
about migrants? What about the Venezuelan migrants? They come across to your country there in St. Vincent?
Venezuelan migrants,
Yes.
if they are in St. Vincent,
Yes. I want to know.
well, there are migrants from everywhere in St. Vincent, right? There are people from all over the place.
I'm talking about the Venezuelan migrants because it have a crisis there, you know, and they came across to Trinidad. So you're on to Trinidad, but we want to know from you if you all have an influx of Venezuelan migrants.
Well, no, because the thing with St. Vincent is far, right? So no, what I'm saying, you have to understand. So when you look at,
I understand. I know the geography.
when you look at,
You all keep talking and talking, but you don't know the pressures we have in here with these migrants. Right? I know you're talking drug and deal.
Yeah.
And Venezuela and Trinidad, but I just wanted to come in concerning the migrants. We have problems too with the gun trafficking and the human trafficking. And what I want to say is, you people in those other islands where your prime minister, like Ralph Gonzalez, he go over to Venezuela, right?
Yeah.
A couple of days ago. Well, I saw him yesterday. And he was talking about peace and that same thing with a zone of peace and all of that, right?
Yeah.
So what I know is the CARICOM heads, right? Like St. Vincent, Grenada, all they're interested in
right?
Yeah.
Is to gain off of the cheap gas from Venezuela. That's all they're interested in. That is why they will support him. You understand? I know it's a tired thing with that dragon gas.
Okay.
And when it had the past government, I'm going on to that now. When it had the past government, I told them that it would not work out. Nicolas Maduro just do that for this country, right? Well, more so the Caribbean and other Caribbean countries because they are strong allies with that prime minister. President. And due to how it have the gas there in Trinidad, it would have been just what Trinidad and Tobago doing, selling them gas because of how Venezuela gets sanctioned. Our country have to provide them with gas now because we are CARICOM, right?
Okay.
So I don't want you to feel no how because that is the truth, and I don't hear you talking these things or anybody else, right? I told the past government because the prime minister before, the former before Keith Christopher Rowley, Patrick Manning never wanted to do any business with that because our government then felt cheated with the gas in the dragon field because it wasn't shared. You know, when I say shared, it wasn't measured equal, and he felt cheated, so he leave it alone. At that time, we still had gas and wasn't really in a disaster like how we are now with a little bit of gas. When this lady went in the first time, she and Maduro talked, but I don't know, she didn't do business with him with it. But due to how Trinidad and Tobago reach a crucial stage now, we need gas. And the past government, right, they messed it all up by investing into it. Because what Trinidad and Tobago had to put out for the pipeline, they couldn't afford it because they're sanctioned, they don't have money.
Okay, can I ask you something?
Yes.
How long now since the migrant crisis with Venezuelans going to Trinidad and Tobago?
Since let's say 2019.
Okay.
A heavy influx started coming.
Yeah, but some of them
ones who started coming a little bit, but it started coming in more I should say more in 2019.
Yeah, but some of them actually start coming before that. And if you watch this channel, if you watch this channel, you'll hear me talk about the history between Venezuela, Cuba, Haiti, and the rest of the Caribbean. Like Venezuela, a strong, healthy Venezuela is good for Trinidad and Tobago. The same way every island in the Caribbean, if one go down, it is going to compromise the other one. So Venezuela.
Your Prime Minister Ralph Gonzalez and Mayor Motley and the rest of them.
Yeah.
I would like them to take some of these migrants from Trinidad and Tobago if they could offer to house them. I would like them to talk that. They ain't talking that.
No, but what you don't think
the Venezuelan president, so they could take them. I do business with everything else, you know.
Well, you don't so you don't think Donald Trump should take them? You don't think Donald Trump should take them?
No, don't watch me. They went. You see how we had to get them out? Because they're not easy, you know. They're not easy, you know. We don't have it easy here with them, you know. So all the talk, Maya Motley and Ralph and thing will like to talk blah blah blah. They must offer to take about 3,000 in Barbados or 10,000. You understand?
But why are they in Trinidad and Tobago though? And why do you think they are in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, why they in Trinidad? Because of the crisis.
And what started the crisis? What started the crisis? Yeah.
It's because Nicolas Maduro was not spending the oil and gas money on the citizens.
Oh, wait a minute there. So the American embargo had nothing to do with it. America, because I've been following. No, but what I'm saying.
He's feeding people his allies.
No, but this.
Family, friends, out of the money.
Yeah, but this.
Oil and gas.
No, but.
And laundering it in banks in Miami. You don't know that?
But people blame.
You don't know that?
People blame everyone else, but the people who have the embargo. Do you think any Caribbean island can survive with the embargo?
So why you're not listening? He gave and that way because he was robbing the people.
So America, what you're saying is America put an embargo on Venezuela because Venezuelan government was robbing the people.
That's right.
So what? So
he had gold in England.
So why?
So because they can't trust him. They can't trust him. This is why they embargo. No, United States and the only people decide that they must get sanctioned. You know, it have a thing called the Organization of Americans. And when these countries together with CARICOM get to have debates and decision and come to a voting, it's the countries in Latin America and CARICOM will vote. Whenever CARICOM have to vote, they will either be not there or they will abstain from the voting. And that is how it goes.
Yeah. No, but no, I know the look, I know the history. Trust me, I know the history. Venezuela have been a friend to the Caribbean for over 100 years. I know the history. I talk about it all the time. Like after the abolition of slavery, a lot of people from Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados went to Venezuela. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So why?
Our prime minister know, right? It end up sour, right? Because they won't have be neutral. We need the gas. She could have drink water and mind her business, right? Okay, but what I am telling you is, I want your prime minister, Maya Motley, as well from Barbados, together with the others all up in St. Lucia.
Yeah, but Ralph Gonzalez
that they could house some of the migrants in Venezuela. These people need help. We have it hard here with them.
No, but why don't you think that Donald Trump should, or the American government should lift the embargo?
We're talking Donald Trump. We are CARICOM. Trinidad and Tobago was a good neighbor to Venezuela with these migrants coming here.
Do you know? Let me tell you something. Do you know that 20 years ago they did a survey and they were trying to find out who were the happiest people in the world, and that was Venezuela. Venezuelans 20 odd years ago were the happiest people in the world. I have a coworker that I have a coworker. Look, I have a coworker that grew up in Venezuela, and he said at one point gas was cheaper than water. A bottle of gas was cheaper than a bottle of water. Venezuela started falling apart with the American embargo. The same way Cuba started falling apart, the same way. Yes, the embargo.
The government did things that caused the embargo.
No, but no. But what about human rights?
Human rights violations.
Yeah, but America.
The democracy.
Yeah, but America don't care about America don't.
Democracy.
But do America care about the breaking of the democracy in Saudi Arabia or in Dubai?
Watch me, we deal with Western
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like you don't.
The organization of the Americas.
Okay, you know that.
So far we dealing here.
No, but what I'm saying, when you should be a good neighbor, and if something bad is happening to your neighbor, like you should have empathy for your neighbor, and you should realize that look, if that can happen to them, it can happen to you. Because if Trinidad, if
we did so, Keith Christopher Rowley, we
Yeah.
did so, we housing them.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, no, what I'm saying, no,
on with these people here,
no,
so
but
much to mention.
yeah, but
I am asking you to ask Mr. Ralph Gonzalez, Maya Monthly, Panalite, and suggest that they help Trinidad and Tobago house these migrants.
okay, so the hear what? The next time I see Ralph,
All of us are CARICOM, and don't study Donald Trump.
the next time I see Ralph, I'll ask him.
CARICOM.
The next time I see Ralph, I'll ask him. But I'm just saying that if America can put an embargo on Venezuela, if they can put an embargo on Haiti, if they can put an embargo on Cuba, they can put an embargo on Trinidad, they can put an embargo on Jamaica. So we have to be careful, because if they can do it to our neighbors, they can do it to us. And the embargo is what is really causing, because I've been following when Hugo Chavez, right before Hugo Chavez died, this wasn't what is going on.
Tobago don't do things to look for embargo. When you don't follow the democracy and all these things. You're cheating on your people,
Okay.
them, not seeing, not looking after your citizens, no health care, no proper education for you.
So Cuba with the most doctors per thing. No, but Cuba has an embargo too. No, but yeah, but Cuba is in the same boat.
When they get the embargo because of what the president, the regime was doing.
Cuba is in the same boat. Haiti is in the same boat.
What about, excuse me, I am not talking about these people.
No, they're part of CARICOM too. So they are part of CARICOM too.
What about, no, watch me. Cuba not in CARICOM.
Yes, Cuba is an associate member. They're not part.
No, they're not in CARICOM.
They're associate member.
They are not in CARICOM. They are not a member of CARICOM. Check it out.
They're associate member.
Haiti, yes.
They are associate. Cuba, Dominican Republic, they're associate. They're part of the five that make up.
The heads there and the rest, not Cuba.
Okay, so what I'll do what I'll do after the election in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I'll talk to Ralph and see if Ralph can take
You're talking Trinidad and Tobago business
yeah.
every day, right through?
Yeah.
I want you to keep advocating for these CARICOM countries to help the situation here in Trinidad and Tobago with these Venezuelan migrants.
I think the other CARICOM countries are busy. They're busy helping the people from Haiti. They're busy with the people from Haiti who are experiencing the same embargo.
Watch me. I think they could take some from Venezuela because they are great allies of President Nicolas Maduro. That is what I'm concerned about.
Okay, then.
I think it's time they talk that way because they love Nicolas Maduro. So they must have some mercy on Trinidad and Tobago citizens with these people inside are here.
Okay, then.
So you advocate for me, please.
Okay, I'll start doing that. All right, thank you. Okay, so that was the first caller from Trinidad wanting me to advocate for. But what I'm saying, I believe that we're making a mistake when we try to absolve all of the responsibility from the American government, not just Donald Trump, because this is happening before Donald Trump. And when Hugo Chavez was the president of Venezuela. I remember before Chavez died, he was in Cuba getting treatment, and I think I was in Cuba at that same time. That was over 10 years ago, and this is when everything started going downhill. And before that, right before that, Venezuela was giving affordable oil or natural gas to I remember Jamaica used to get. I remember other CARICOM members used to get affordable oil, and that was what 20 years ago or so. And a lot of Caribbean islands manufacturing, in terms of their manufacturing, was cheap compared to now. Manufacturing costs has skyrocketed in the Caribbean because of the high energy costs, and that is because of Venezuela, things being cut off from Venezuela. So yeah, like people can always talk about Maduro, but the reality is that Maduro is what, 10 years, not less than 10 years in office. There are other leaders across the world who are in power for like 30 years, no election, no democracy, but America is not going to go there and touch them. When you look at Rwanda is a perfect example for people who are talking about democracy. Since the Rwanda genocide, they have not changed a leader. And Rwanda, they are good friends. They have a good relationship with the Americans. America is not concerned about democracy there. So people need to realize this is not about, because I guarantee you, if there was no oil in Venezuela, if there was no natural resources in Venezuela, and a President Maduro was still there, and people worry about not having an election and the lack of democracy, that would not be a problem. But because the natural resources is there, it's not a coincidence that everywhere you see all of this stuff happening, they have natural resources. So let's continue with the whole Dragon deal and see what the former Prime Minister Young, he came out earlier this week and talking about the craziness that, you know, they were actually the ones that signed the deal, and he was talking about how the Prime Minister seemed happy when the license was withdrawn, and now they're celebrating the same deal that the PNM government was talking about just a few months ago. So this is former Prime Minister Young.
Trinidad and Tobago, anything that will progress Trinidad and Tobago in the right direction is something that the PNM will obviously be happy about and encourage. I'm starting with the whole Dragon gas issue and smiling at the irony of what we're dealing with here today. Because to take your minds immediately back to President's house, just a few months ago, after the swearing in of a cabinet, and none other than the Honorable Prime Minister announcing to the world at large, Dragon was dead with glee. Dragon is dead, and that they would pursue gas in Grenada, Guyana, and Suriname, and that is where they would be. We find ourselves right back here today. It is this PNM administration that did the hard work and the legwork from 2016 all the way through to 2025 with respect to the pursuit of the Dragon gas field, which I want to remind Trinidad and Tobago, because it is obvious that the government will mislead you and the government will be akin to snake oil salesmen. The Dragon gas field is completely within the maritime borders of Venezuela. The Dragon gas field is completely owned by the people of Venezuela. And it is the PNM government that negotiated through very difficult and trying times and managed in December 2023, after many years, to obtain a 30-year exploration, production, and export of gas license from the Dragon field to Trinidad and Tobago waters. That license, which was published by the Venezuelan government and gazetted, and it was the same Minister Munilal, then opposition member Munilal, who with glee was circulating it in public. It was published in Spanish in their gazette in Venezuela. Should read the terms of this 30-year license. So the first point is the Dragon gas is owned by Venezuela and the field is completely situated in Venezuela, and they have the rights to the gas and the gas field. That is Venezuela. The second thing is what we saw yesterday and the development between Secretary of State Rubio and Prime Minister and her very large entourage that did not include the Minister of Energy. And the announcement by the Secretary of State is absolutely no different to the conversations that he had with me and the PNM administration when I was Prime Minister. I met with him, as you would recall, in Jamaica. We had good conversation. After that, OFAC did cancel the licenses that existed for Dragon as well as Coquina Mannequin, Coquina Field.
Timelines, when could that happen and how long are we?
Okay, so that was the former prime minister, and I did a video today talking about the OFAC licensing and how the OFAC licensing was returned to this administration, and doing my research and the OFAC licensing, Office of Foreign Asset Control, and this is an office within a government office agency in America that they pretty much talk about the controlling of foreign assets. And if that is not like troubling to people watching, then something is wrong. And we have had the conversation for years. We have been having conversation about Caribbean, African, Latin American countries. And whenever we have the conversation about, in particular, Africa, why are these countries so rich with natural resources, but yet still the people are poor? And 99.9% of the time, people talk about the government being corrupt, and those government don't really care about their people. And that is where it stops. But nobody talk about like offices, administration like this, the Office of Foreign Asset Control. And this, in the video earlier, I explained that this is not only an American thing. This is something that we see happen worldwide. We saw, and the problem too, whenever we talk about it in the past, it just seemed like conspiracy theory and that you're like some crazy people bringing up some conspiracy thing that coming out of a movie and it doesn't exist. What I appreciate about this Trump administration is that because of their transparency, a lot of things that people were accusing America, the American government of for decades, and people would say like, look, that is just conspiracy theory. Donald Trump is exposing all of that now. When we talk about Haiti and the country that Haiti is today and the amount of minerals and natural resources from that country, and that country is in turmoil right now. The only thing people, especially us in the Caribbean, we can like say like, oh, it's like corruption in their government and they are not doing the best thing for their people. But very few people look at the blame, put the blame at the foot of outside countries like France. Look at France now. France is a perfect example. France economy is falling apart now. There was a report that came out the other day that France was like, there were trillions of dollars in debt. The same France that Haiti had to pay reparation, the same France that takes so much resources out of Haiti and out of a lot of African countries, and now they are on the verge of collapse. And people are not talking about that. That is what happened to all of these Caribbean and African countries. It is not the local corrupt leaders. It's all about these countries coming in and taking out all the natural resources and take it away, and you're getting nothing. And we don't have to look far, because last year covering what's going on in Guyana, and people are talking about Guyana is going to be the next Dubai, the next Singapore. And there are people on the ground in Guyana that are very skeptical about that. And people in Guyana, they're wondering, was this a good deal? The Exxon deal. We saw a lot of discrepancy coming out of that deal early out in the deal. We see a lot of stuff that just did not look right. And if you talk to a lot of people from Guyana, some people are optimistic, but there are people that don't believe that Guyana got a good deal, because Caribbean and African countries never get a good deal. So there are people that are concerned that for every dollar that the oil brings from Guyana, that if Guyana gets like $10 out of 10 cents out of the dollar, then that's probably it. They're not going to get it. The big oil companies are the one that take a bulk of these money. And even talking about Trinidad and Tobago, because we've had a conversation. Like I've been following Caribbean politics for decades, and Trinidad, I've been on record saying that Trinidad and Tobago was like the first real giant in the Caribbean in terms of development, because Trinidad and Tobago, they discovered oil exploration started in Trinidad and Tobago way over 100 years ago. And so Trinidad and Tobago, they were able to develop infrastructure and way ahead of most of the Caribbean, well, pretty much all the Caribbean islands. Trinidad was way ahead in terms of infrastructural development. And now in 2025, people are looking at Trinidad and Tobago, seeing a lot of the old infrastructure, like aging infrastructure, and they are not able to keep up with a lot of those infrastructure now. And people are asking what happened to all of those oil money from back in the days. But, when you look, you realize that the deal was not in favor of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. When you look at African and Caribbean, Latin American countries, that they're not able to develop the way we see like Dubai and Singapore. And when you look at Dubai is a perfect example. Dubai is able to develop in the past 25 years at the level that they are developing, because they are the ones that control their natural resources. Every single barrel of oil that comes out of Saudi Arabia or Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, is controlled by them. The Caribbean cannot say the same. Guyana cannot say the same. Trinidad cannot say the same. And people are even wondering, like, when we talk about 1 million barrel of oil coming out, say, like of Guyana every day, how can we be sure that ExxonMobil is not taking more? Is there anyone there to investigate how many barrels of oil are they really taking, and what is really going on? And that is the thing. We don't have control over our natural resources, and that is a problem. So I think we'll always have this conversation. Like, I really hope for the best for Guyana, and I think President Ali is doing the right thing. I think what I see President Ali doing now in terms of developing other areas outside of the oil, because I think that is one of the things that people said, that Trinidad was just depending on the oil money, and they weren't developing tourism, they weren't developing other. I know the manufacturing was big in Trinidad and Tobago because of the low energy costs, but now manufacturing is going down also. So the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, let's continue to hear what she's saying.
Expected to get the license for?
Soon. Well, I can tell you soon. No date time frame was given, but I think we both understood the urgency of the matter. So that is one step in a two-step process that we have to go through. The second step would be our license with Venezuela. I'm told that we had a 30-year license from Venezuela, but of course, given all that has transpired, we will have some more negotiations with Venezuela. Shell is involved in that project, and indeed I'm meeting Mr. Lomax from Shell in a short while to see what progress they have made. Before this happened with the United States, Shell had gone to Venezuela. They had discussions with Madam Delcy about the license, and I want to get updates from him as well, because Shell will have to speak with officials in Venezuela. How soon, I can't tell you.
Have you made any official contact with the Venezuelan government?
I have not, but I'm sure some of our officials may have done, so I am not sure. I got home at whatever hour on Wednesday night. Yesterday I had jet lag, so I haven't contacted most everybody, catching up with my mails or my instructions to the cabinet ministers. So no, I have not reached out officially, but there have been unofficial reaching out by members of our team.
Do you plan to reach out officially?
Not at this point in time. I will let our officials make the first, reach out, if that's the words we're using, yes.
Given the back and forth between this country and Venezuela recently, do you believe there will be a willingness from President Maduro to meet with you or anybody from the government?
First of all, I don't know. I think sometimes you all, some members of the media misconstrue or misunderstand or deliberately misconstrue and misunderstand. What is it back and forth with Trinidad, Tobago and Venezuela? I have repeatedly said we stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela. We have no intention of putting boots on the ground in Venezuela, or putting soldiers, or putting weapons, nothing of the sort. And I said we stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela, and therefore my plan and what I'm pushing and really pushing hard is against the criminals, the narco traffickers, the human traffickers, the gun runners, the criminals. So we have nothing against the people of Venezuela. I've repeatedly said we stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela. So this back and forward, I think, is being created as a false narrative that we have, I cuss them up or they cuss me up. No. I think one gentleman said certain things that people have personalities. One, I can't remember his name now, said something about me. And you all asked me about it. I'm not bothered. People have different opinions. But again, I repeat, we stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela. This project will benefit Venezuela. It will benefit the USA, and it will benefit Trinidad and Tobago. So all around, all three parties stand to benefit should this go through. So we take that next step one day at a time.
Do you recognize Nicolas Maduro as president of Venezuela?
The question does not arise with the greatest respect.
If there's to be a government-to-government negotiation.
Reese asked me that last Wednesday night. Question does not arise. Can you ask me another one, please?
I mean, the question arises in the sense that you all would have backed Juan Guaido in the past.
You do not, it does not arise from me. What are you going to force me to answer you?
That's all.
Can you
appoint an ambassador to Venezuela anytime soon?
Certainly, we are in the process. In fact, today, well, we've already appointed Dr. Neil Parson to PRUN in New York. Today we should have, I don't know if it's come through with the instruments, to appoint Chandradat Singh to India, and the one for Jamaica, former Industrial Court Judge Deborah Felix, to be appointed for Jamaica, and we're going one day at a time, step by step.
President Trump has announced on social media a boat loaded with enough drugs to kill 20 to 50,000 people was stopped early this morning off the coast of Venezuela from entering American territory. You have been consistent in your administration's support for the U.S. military action against what they say are now terrorists from Venezuela. That continues?
I'm sorry, I missed the last part.
There's no change in your support. Let's say, for example, this action
US
today.
Intervention. Yeah, we remain in support of the intervention by the United States. In fact, since that has happened, you would have seen that the amount of murders in my own country has fallen, the numbers. That might be partly because of that. And the other part would be, of course, the state of emergency that we have in place, which has not disrupted lives except the lives of criminals. Am I in support? Yes, I remain in support of the U.S. intervention in the region. Criminals are criminals. And we have to wipe out criminals, as I say. Violently, I had said it. So, yes, we are in support. Unless I have evidence to the contrary, that something is wrong, I have no such evidence. People are saying no due process, no law, whatever. The United States is a sovereign country, and they're free to exercise their sovereignty in matters that they deem fit. I cannot intervene. I have no evidence otherwise. I can only go on the basis of what has been shared, that we are all engaged in the battle against the narco traffickers, the human traffickers, and the gun runners. Can I thank you all very much?
And Budget Day will be on?
Budget Day very soon. Goodbye. Thank you all. Distinguished guests and our Caribbean family across Africa, Latin America.
Okay, so that was the Prime Minister again, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bissessa. And one thing, the conversation when it comes on to what is going on in the Caribbean Sea with the Trump administration putting warships out in the Caribbean Sea, and they're saying it's to fight drugs and guns coming into the Caribbean. I get the impression that most, if not all, other Caribbean leaders, even I would say the Prime Minister of Jamaica, who is the head of CARICOM right now, I don't think he's buying that. And I also don't think President Ali from Guyana is buying that also. Because one thing, if you are someone that follows CARICOM, what has been going on in CARICOM for the past 5 or 10 years, the CARICOM heads of government, the Caribbean leaders have been sitting down with different governments from Obama to Donald Trump to Joe Biden. The heads of CARICOM have been sitting down. The last time, the first Trump administration, there were about 6 or 7 officials from CARICOM that went to sit and talk with Donald Trump about drug and gun trafficking in the Caribbean Sea. It's been established for decades that over 90% of the illegal firearms that are doing damage in the Caribbean, whether it's Jamaica, whether it's Barbados now, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad, most of those illegal weapons are coming out of America. That has been established a long time ago. And numerous, as I said, numerous CARICOM leaders have sat down with the American governments and say, look, we need help fighting this. So I believe that if the leaders in the Caribbean thought that what Donald Trump is doing now is really trying to help the stem the flow of illegal weapons and drug trafficking in the Caribbean, I honestly believe that every single Caribbean leader would support that. They would sign off on that immediately. But what we see, because fighting or this stemming illegal firearms and drugs in the Caribbean Sea is about the Coast Guard services. So whether you get the Coast Guard from Guyana, you get from Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, and you ask the American government to beef up the coastline to make sure that, because they have the technology, they have the manpower, so they can do 10 times more than what the Caribbean leaders or the Caribbean forces can do. And if anyone thought that this is what is happening in Caribbean Sea now, Ralph Gonzalez would support it, Mia Motley would support it, but it doesn't look like that with warships in the Caribbean, because fighting the stem of illegal firearm and drugs coming through the Caribbean is not like waging war. It's all about Coast Guard service. And what we saw taking place for the past couple of weeks, a lot of people don't believe it. Like the first one I saw, people were saying that they believe that it's an AI image of these boats being blown out of the water, because it just doesn't make any sense. And I can, for me, looking at it, it doesn't make sense. Like, especially for a country like America, because, I'm not in the armed force or anything like that. But from what I know, from what I've seen over the decades, when Coast Guards go out there and they find illegal guns and illegal drugs, the reason why they can come to you and say, look, we just stopped $20 million worth of drugs from going into the US, is because they arrest people and they have the actual drugs as evidence. But with blowing out boats out of the water, there's no way that you can say that, look, this amount of drugs was on the boat, this amount of guns were on the boat. Because if we're going by what they say, they're using these heavy war equipment and blowing the boats out of the water. So a lot of people are not buying into that because it just don't seem like something that a sophisticated government would do. You think that you'd want to chase them down, arrest them, so you can find where the head of the snake. That is what you expect. You'd expect that they would, as I said, hunt them down. They would arrest them. They would have cameras and say, look, this is what the president is talking about. And you'd see like the big stack of illegal ammunition or illegal drugs. But we have not seen anything like that. We have seen images that can't be verified, like of boats being blown up. Okay, someone. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello, good evening again. It's the same person.
Okay.
You need to fix the volume. The volume when I talking, you barely hear me.
Okay then.
You need to fix your volume. Everything's fine.
Okay, I'll fix it. Thanks.
What I want to ask is, you believe they're blowing up the boat?
No, I don't buy it. I think America is too sophisticated for that.
So yes, what you're saying is that you don't believe they're blowing up the boats?
No, I think it's some made up images.
All right. Well, let me tell you something, right?
Yeah.
All right. The first boat that they blew up with the 11 people.
Yeah.
Left from Venezuela, East Venezuela, and it was en route to Trinidad and Tobago. This came out of the Venezuelan news. I just listened to the Venezuelan news and I just talk Spanish fluent.
Okay.
Family members send out footage of the passengers on the boat. Family members of the deceased ask that they get back the bodies.
Yeah, but what bodies though?
Also,
If they blow up the boat, there's no bodies to get.
it had pieces of bodies wash up on shore here in Trinidad on 2 beaches. No boat then blow up in the Caribbean Sea. It blow up right here in Trinidad waters. And they keep saying the Caribbean international waters.
But do you think that is a good way to do things, or do you think they should arrest them?
The last one left was from East Trinidad and East Venezuela. You don't know that they get bodies here in Trinidad, and they asked our Prime Minister if she could retrieve the bodies.
No, so what I'm saying, so you believe that they really did that. So do you think that is the right way to go, or should they have arrested them and find out where it's coming from? Wouldn't that be the better?
Of course, everybody's saying so this thing ain't looking good and it's dangerous. They could blow up thing all by St. Vincent.
Yeah, because even look at the fishermen, the Trinidadian fishermen that don't want to go fishing anymore because that could be a real problem. Like they could be casualty, like going out there trying to fish and end up being blown up too. Like what would the Trump administration say, like if they launch some rocket or whatever on a cruise ship, it hit a cruise ship with like 7,000 people on it? That's dangerous.
Of course, yes.
Because I don't want to go on a Caribbean cruise right now, because the Caribbean, like right in that circle where Trinidad, St. Vincent, that is very, like that's a passage where a lot of cruise ship.
Really worry about in St. Vincent, I just telling you, thing could blow up all day. It's right on this side, them all blowing it up, and he telling you going to the United States. If you look at the geography with East Venezuela to Trinidad is northwest of Trinidad from Port of Spain, right?
Yeah.
Look at where the United States is. The first point is Miami. No boat there really catch going up Jamaica. They're not giving you reports that, okay, this boat was heading in the Caribbean Sea, going to Jamaica, somewhere there by Cuba. No, it's East Venezuela is coming out from. This is why the Nicolas Maduro Venezuelan government acting up like that, because it humbugging tourism in the eastern part of the country. Is there does have a lot of tourism. So it have things you talking and you know what it is really going on. Because you're listening to them, you know, the news that they get from the United States, CNN and thing. But if you get the Venezuelan news,
I listen to the I see the Venezuelan news too, and one of the boat. Yeah, but one of the boat is the Colombian president came out and said that was their people. So I don't know. I don't know who to believe.
He said he don't know if it could have their citizens on it. I don't know which boat, right? I don't know which boat he talking about. But the first one, I know sure family from the eastern part of Venezuela came out and talked about the family left to come here, Trinidad, because these boats that they're blowing up, I would say some of them just come to do trade, they just come to buy things in Trinidad and carry back, right? Because they need certain things here in Trinidad. It's not only drugs. And this is what the the president of Venezuela should say. Because he and our past prime minister had signed an agreement for that part of their country to come here to buy goods and carry back. Because the people there, they don't have much employment and it's poor. On that last point, Sucre. So somebody on each side should come out and talk. I'm more talking about the opposition here who know about that trade. You understand? And Nicolas Maduro too. The rest about, I can't say if the passengers from Colombia. But I know the first one, it could have been passengers. Right?
Okay then.
So check it out.
All right. Thanks for calling.
It's real. Okay.
Okay. Okay, yes. So as I was saying, I just don't think that is a way to operate, because you know what is going to happen now. Fish in Trinidad and Tobago is going to be extremely expensive. If it didn't go up already, it is going to go up, because if I'm a fisherman going out there to fish, and all Trinidadians have access to news and know what is going on out in the sea, like I can easily come and say, you know what, it's dangerous to go to sea now. I'm not just, it's not just a regular danger. Like you could encounter shark or whatever out there, but no, you could lose your life being like blown to pieces. So if I'm out there as a fisherman now, I can easily come and say, fish gone up, the price. We have to increase the price because of what is going on out there. So it is just not a good look. And as I said, I don't think there's one. I don't even believe that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, I don't think that she even believes that. I think she's just going along, but I don't think anyone believes that Trump really have the interest of whether the Caribbean or, you could say that there's the interest of America, but the reality is that every international organization that came out so far said if there's anything coming from Venezuela in terms of drug, it's like minuscule in comparison to what is coming out of Colombia or Mexico or stuff. So not a lot. And even people are even going as far as saying what is happening, because the reality is that there's really a drug crisis in North America, not just America, in Canada. Like you can see it every single day when you go on the street and you see these people like zombies on the street. And a lot of these drug problem that's happening in North America now, it's not the same drug problem that we saw back in the days. These are like fentanyl type of issues. And from what everybody is saying now, all the experts, the fentanyl is not coming from Venezuela. A lot of people even believe that most of the fentanyl is they develop it in America too. So it's but as I said, I don't believe that what the Trump administration, I personally don't believe it has anything to do with drugs. I think it's regime change. I think if tomorrow Maduro would step down and they would put in a president that is favorable to America, so anything America want from Venezuela they can get, I believe that Trump would just pack up and send back the troops to America, and they would not care about Venezuela anymore. So it's not, I don't think it's that they care about the people of Venezuela. I don't think it's that they care about democracy, because they have relationship with the United Arab Emirates. In the United Arab Emirates, there's some places there women can't drive, they don't vote, and all of that. So this is nothing about democracy. This is about, they want a government in Venezuela that will, dance to their music, and that is just not happening right now. So guys, I'm just going to leave it right there. But yeah, this week was a very interesting week with Trinidad and Tobago. And one thing, people can say is that the Prime Minister, whether they love her or not, the Prime Minister, she's 73 years old. She's a hardworking woman. She's been out there. I saw she said that she was jet lagged from her trip in Washington, D.C. And, I saw more of the Prime Minister for the past 5 months. I saw more of her for the past 5 months than I saw of Dr. Keith Raleigh in 5 years. So she has a presence out there, whether it's good or bad. I think history is going to judge her for it. And I think at the end of her term, if Trinidad gets better in terms of the economy gets better, crime rate goes down, then people are going to say there was a method to our madness and that she succeeded. But if Trinidad gets worse, then people are going to say like this was just like a puppet show and she was just dancing to Trump's rhythm. So, but that is it, and I'm going to leave it right there for tonight, and we'll catch up again next week. So thank you again for joining, and hit the subscribe button so that when we go live next week, Saturday, you'll have the opportunity to see us. So thank you very much and have a good night.